But those of us who have measured things over and over again and have come to similar conclusions or no conclusions at all, that measuring things does not always provide a reward, we've chucked it. We've decided, you know what? I'm not going to go with that.
Welcome to Breaking Down Your Business, episode 297. You can find the show notes for this episode at breakingdownyourbusiness.com/297. I'm Brad Ferris from Anchor Advisors.
Are you really?
I am.
I'm not
Still.
sure about that. I'm Jill Salzman from the Founding Moms.
You can find out more about Anchor Advisors at anchoradvisors.com.
Can you?
Yeah?
Well, I'm still just trying to get over your shouting. It never, ever, ever gets comfortable.
So, Jill, before we get on to the topic for today, which is going to be Rip Roarin', Jill's already trying to fight about me.
Rip Roarin'?
Yeah, you're already trying to pick a fight off the air. But first,
I was.
we've got a new review.
We're already reading it?
We got to read it.
Top?
Yes.
Oh, you guys, this is... I don't even know what to think.
It's the most outstanding review we've ever received.
You have to read this one. Good, I'll read the title.
But first, everyone needs to know, this is a 5-star review. This person gave us 5 stars.
And I was going to say, it's called, the title of this review is, If I Could Give 0 Stars, I Would. But then it's followed by 5 stars.
So here's the review.
Thank you, question mark?
Are Jill and Brad married? Maybe they could create a different podcast under the marriage category. Plus, Jill seems kind of fake, which is irritating. Gives moms a bad name if she's the founding one. If the marriage podcast doesn't work, maybe her and Saul could do a sex podcast because his voice sounds like it's trying and Jill like piss and vinegar. I hope this podcast is done for 2019. Run.
Wow.
Sorry, Lonely Eyes, it's not done. We're going to keep going.
I don't even know what to make of this. Like, should
It's
I
wonderful.
be offended? Is this really funny?
It's 5 stars.
I'm pretty fake. That's true. I'm not authentic at all, and we never talk about anything
And
genuine
you
on this podcast.
Give all moms a bad name.
And I am a founding one. You know? Wow. Saul, are we creating a sex podcast now? Is that... Yes. All right.
So tune in.
2019.
Jill, and if anyone else wants to know, Jill and I are not married.
No, we're definitely not married.
Well, Jill is not married.
I think it's confusing because we talk about how we have, 7 kids or something between us?
Yeah.
But Brad has 5 kids with a gorgeous, lovely, beautiful wife.
Yes, I do.
Whom I love dearly.
She'd be glad to
who's
hear
very short. Can I say that?
Yeah,
Is that
sure.
okay?
Yeah.
I think she knows
She's
that.
petite. Yeah.
She is very tiny. And I am not very tiny, and I am a single mom, and I am not married to Brad, and I never was.
Or will.
And it's not like we got divorced and
No.
then did the podcast. Gosh,
Truthfully,
that'd be a great other podcast.
There is
though.
none of that kind of energy between
There's
us.
definitely not, but I can hear how one person might interpret our shouting at each other as they're so comfortable with each other. They must have been married for
sound like a
20
married
years.
couple.
Yeah. No, we're just 2 people who like to fight.
So speaking of fighting, this week I sent out an email to my email list, the conversation that I
That's
have with
actually a
people
good
that
thing
follow
to do
me.
is to send an email
It
to
is,
the
right.
email list.
And the title of the email was "What Gets Measured Gets Rewarded." And Jill seems to have taken some offense.
I just read it. It was, by the way, it was in all caps, and I read it, and I thought that's not true. And I don't know why you're so confident about it. It was in all caps in my subject line area. Thank you very much.
So tell me, how do you disagree with this? What is it about this that you find disagreeable?
Because lots of people measure things all the time, and it's not rewarded. Maybe.
Okay. So you're saying that there are things that get measured that don't result in
Maybe that's because I
rewards.
also know you, and I know that you're Mr. Data, and I know that you count on data more than anything, and you always look at the fact that if you can measure it and it tells you something, you must act on it, and I can't stand that. I don't agree with that. I don't think it's true. Obviously, I'm a trust your gut kind of girl, who is, by the way, very fake, according to our latest review. But I don't like it because it makes people focus on only things that can be measured. And there is a lot of mishap. That's not a word. There's a lot of miscalculation. There are a lot of bad things that happen when you try to measure, and certain data doesn't get included. You're not actually looking at all the data. You're missing out on interpreting the data correctly. Do you follow what I mean?
No.
Are you just ignoring me?
No, I want you to get it out. I want to hear your point of view. So what you're saying is that there are things that we reward that are not data driven. Is that what you're saying?
what gets measured does not always get rewarded, and what doesn't get measured can get rewarded.
Okay, give me an example of something that you're not measuring that you are rewarding.
Well, I do have a very specific example
Good.
that happened recently. We sent out a survey to the founding moms because we have a library of video courses.
Yes.
And the data that we measured, or we had data because it was measured
Right.
about how many people were watching the videos.
Right.
And it looked like absolutely nobody was watching the videos.
Okay.
And we were considering scrapping the videos.
Right.
So we sent out the survey.
Yep.
And everyone told us, no, I like the videos. I forget to watch them. Or because of how our website's set up, I have trouble finding them sometimes. We have things to fix, for sure. But if we had only looked at the data and had measured things, we would have rewarded ourselves with a loss.
So the question is, Jill, which of those pieces of data are you paying attention to?
None of them.
But you can see that both of those things are things that you're measuring.
I mean, if you go ahead and you call everything data,
No.
we can call everything data.
A survey is
I'm just
data.
saying if you
a
measure...
survey is something you're measuring.
No, I am not taking... No, I absolutely refuse that. A survey is like asking people, and maybe perhaps it's the way we did it. It's asking people questions.
Sure.
That I understand if you want to quantify the answers and call them data, you can. I'm not doing that.
But
I
you did.
refuse to do
yes,
that.
you did. Because what you said is most of the people said, so you counted how many people said.
I technically did not count. I just read the surveys as they came back in.
So the majority.
You get my point, and
you
you're
get
trying
my
to...
point.
No, I do not get your point because I actually think your statement is incorrect.
It's totally correct.
It's incorrect.
I am not
Okay,
saying.
what that gets measured gets rewarded.
Yes.
Give me 3 examples off the top of your head very quickly.
Well, had you read beyond the subject line,
I did not. I hit delete.
the rest of the email was about asking employees how they know that they're doing a good job.
Okay.
And when I ask employees, when I work with businesses and I ask the employees, how do you know you're doing a good job? They say things to me like, well, if no one's complaining, then I guess I'm doing okay. Or, well, if there's less yelling, then I'm doing a good job. Right?
Yeah.
These are not the things that you want to have motivating your employees. You want them to know how they are making a difference in the business. How is it that they know that they're doing a good job? And so what I was advocating for was helping them to set up some measurements so that they could see that their work is creating progress in the business.
I really love that.
Awesome.
I really love that. Setting up measurements is very different than how I interpreted measurements when I saw it in your
So
subject
maybe
line.
you should read the rest of the
I
email.
don't like
or
to
maybe
read. Who has time to read anything anymore?
Maybe my subject line sucked. I don't know.
No, I think that people who really enjoy hearing that data is the way to figure things out gravitated to your email and probably didn't delete it. But those of us who have measured things over and over again and have come to similar conclusions or no conclusions at all, that measuring things does not always provide a reward, we've chucked it. We've decided, you know what? I'm not going to go with that.
So, are you familiar with the name Jim Collins?
I am.
Okay. He wrote a lot of famous books.
Isn't he the Good to Great guy?
Built to Last.
Yep.
He wrote another one I think it's called Good to Great for the Social Sector. It's a very short little book where he talks to not-for-profits about how to apply the Good to Great methodology.
Sure.
And one of the things that the not-for-profits kept saying back to him was, yeah, but you don't understand how hard it is to measure things in the social services realm.
Sure, I believe that.
And so he said, well, let's take a really abstract example. He worked with the Cleveland Orchestra. And he said, how can you tell that the orchestra is doing a good job? He said, well, we could count how many standing ovations we get. We could count how many times composers want their original works to debut with our orchestra.
Yep.
We could count how many times we get invited to play in other places.
Yep.
So there are always things that you can measure that help you understand whether you're making progress or not.
You can say that about anything, though. If I stand here and tell you, because I'm standing, guys, if I stand here and tell you that I measure everything by trusting my gut, you can make an argument that the way that I calculate things with my gut is taking micro measurements.
That's exactly what I would say.
I know, because you're a measurement
No,
purist.
because your gut is an assemblage of data points. That's what your gut is.
Maybe
your
it's
gut.
it's just semantics. But I do not like, and I once upon a time sat down with a guy who was a quote unquote, air quotes, Google Analytics expert, who sat with me, stared at my website, looked at how in my email newsletter, I wasn't sending people to the website like you're supposed to. I wasn't having click-throughs all to my website. And he said, you know what? If you are gaining trust with your subscribers and you're not always sending them to your website, it's fine.
It is.
You don't always need to measure
That's
these
totally
things.
fine.
It is totally fine.
But what you're saying isn't that we shouldn't measure it. What you're saying is we need to know what the right things are to measure.
I didn't say that either. You put that in my mouth. I don't think you need to measure things if you are paying attention to what works and what doesn't, which you're going to argue is another way to measure things. So I think this argument could be like eternal.
Well, so let me slow it down a little bit.
I don't want to slow it down.
Okay, listeners,
Oh, I hate
you can't
the
see
long
my
pause.
face right
I
now,
hate
but
the long pause.
I am shooting daggers. This is my irritated face.
Is it?
It is.
It's kind of cute though.
Now
I
it's
don't know.
even
It
more
doesn't look
irritated.
annoyed. Oh, really?
When you're only measuring a couple of things,
Yeah.
when your business is small, then your gut instinct is pretty well informed because you can keep all the data in your head. You don't have to have a spreadsheet. You don't have to have but when your business gets bigger and more complicated, it starts to blow your mind. Like you can't keep all
I
that
understand.
data anymore.
Correct. And I'm at that
And
place
you,
myself.
And so you need to start writing things down and measuring things.
I think the problem that I have is that when I see a subject line that says what gets measured gets rewarded, I am concerned for all of the people reading it who don't have a ton of experience, who read that and go, I only can now run my business by measuring things, by finding the data, by only trusting the numbers that I see. And there's no nuance to what you say.
But only you can see your gut. The rest of your team needs numbers. You need to agree with them that this number is how I'm measuring your performance. Otherwise, they don't know how to do what it is that they do.
I mean, sure. That's fine. That what you just explained does not address what I was talking about.
I'm banging my head
He's not
on the
banging
table.
his head on the table. I'm just saying. I am concerned for the people who don't understand. It's way more complicated than let me go find some stats, read them, and infer.
And
You're also not a pro at inferring
and
things.
the people are
especially if
concerned
you're an employee.
about you as an example as a mom, too. So,
Wait, how seriously and self-conscious should I be about
Not
that
at all.
review?
Not at all.
You guys, I'm not.
I wouldn't throw it at you if you should be seriously.
I don't even remember what it said, but it made me laugh so much that I just want to enjoy it. And I am a founding one.
So call us, 708-872-7878. You agree with me, right? We need to measure things.
You probably do if you enjoy data and want to rely on something external rather
This is
than
not about joy.
rather than morphing
this is
it with
about being practical and making a difference in your business.
Well, then maybe your business should be about
Here's
joy.
what you should do. On
I'm
the way
over
home,
to Jill's side.
This is what I want you
Have
to do.
some joy
I
while
want you
you're
to
running your
put a
business.
piece of paper over the dashboard on your car. Don't look at any of the dials down there.
What if they're driving?
Just
Please
drive
don't
by feel.
Please don't drive and do the things he's talking about. Let them drive safely.
How about
Data
run your
shows
business safely?
that data shows that if you don't drive safely, you could crash and die. See what the data shows?
Oh my gosh! you live to make me mad.
You know what? I do. I think you also know.
Call
what I'm talking
people.
about.
You need to call.
No, I think you know what I'm
You
talking
need to
about.
call
Call and let
because Jill
him
is
know.
so wrong.
Let him know that.
708-872-7878.
Or you can text us. at that number.
708-872-7878.
Yeah, and let
Jill
him-
is wrong.
Let him down easy, guys. Let him down easy.
She's wrong.
I'm also fit. Did we crush it?